We are live and not paying attention to the time and
Sure
almost
wasn't.
missed our cue. So,
We had 13 minutes last time I looked.
yes. So the Golden Visa is going bye bye. And everyone, everyone.
I was going to say, but don't panic.
Yes, everyone knows that. They've been talking about this for a while. They finally took the vote to say that it's going to go away. There are still some things that have to happen within the government for it to go away 100%. In other words, it's been voted about in principle. Amendment, but there still needs to be some document that's handed to the president so that the president can sign off on it. And so until that happens, it's still in effect. But let's just assume that it's going to go bye-bye.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk about the quickest way that you can get to EU citizenship. And it's not necessarily the Golden Visa, or that is not the only way.
No, it's not. It's
right?
not. There's a 1 through 9. Golden Visa is the 9th one.
Right.
But, I mean, you got
There are
8
other ways to get residency here in Portugal. And so we're going to go over all of those ways to get residency. And as you all know, it's 5 years to citizenship in Portugal. So stay tuned and we will go through each one.
Okay.
All right. My name's Halisi, y'all.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
And on our channel, we talk about travel, money, and retiring abroad as we build generational wealth. We help folks who are getting close to retirement age and forgot to plan get their money straight so that they can retire on time or maybe even early. If you're anything like us, then retiring at all might be retiring early because we never thought that we would be able to retire.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. So first, if you are new to our channel, hey, y'all, I see you in the chat. If you are new to our channel, then let me tell you about 6.5 years ago, Rick and I, we were looking at retirement age and we looked at our money. We got a wake-up call. Our money looked crazy. And 3.5 years ago, we got our financial act together and we went from negative 22,000 to over 1 million in net worth. If any of that travel, money, or retiring abroad sounds interesting to you, please hit the like button.
Hit the like button.
Hit subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you know every single time we go live or drop a video. And also share this information with a friend. So we are living here in exotic Lisbon, Portugal.
Exotic.
And it's been about 6 months now. And next week makes 1 year that we have been on YouTube, y'all. 1 year. And we thought we'd already have 5,000 subscribers, especially since about 50% of you guys watching are not subscribed. Why is that? Go ahead.
Subscribe.
Commit. Hit that subscribe.
It won't hurt.
It will not hurt you.
We won't bite unless you want us to.
Exactly. So we're going to say hi to everyone in the chat. But first, let's get to the first one. So the first one is the D1 visa.
Yep. And it's a residency visa for professionals who've already accepted a job or a position here.
Yeah. So this is not something that most of the folks who are watching us would probably apply for. It's subordinate worker. You don't have to be highly qualified, but you do already have to have had a job. Now, here's the thing, just like in America, the company is going to have to prove that there's no other Portuguese or EU person they could have hired in your stead. So the D1 visa is there. You might be that person. If there is a job here that you are qualified for, and maybe it's really, really hard to find someone who's of Portuguese descent or an EU citizen, the D1 visa could be your pathway. Mm-hmm. Now, at the very end, after we go through all of these, we do have the qualifications, but we ain't going to read all that stuff, y'all.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. We're not going to read all that stuff. But if you have questions about the qualifications for any of these visas, we do have our notes and we can give you that information. A lot of it is the same stuff over and over. And that's another reason why we're not going to.
Yeah, you got to have a passport. You got to have a background. You got to have this. You got to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the D2 visa and then we'll get to some hellos.
Portugal always seeks incentivizing energetic people to start new programs
And new
in their
businesses.
countries and new businesses for their country, which a lot of places want you to do. They want you to come there and start businesses and employ people.
So, in order to be eligible for the D2 visa, you'll need to have an innovative or original idea and a solid business plan, along with some nominal capitalization. So, we do know folks who are trying to move here on the D2 visa. I don't know, like from what I've heard, their ideas, I don't know how innovative they are, but I think if they have a track record someplace else running a business of that type, and they've already scouted a location, they have a solid business plan. The folks that I know who are trying to get residency through a D2 visa have also hired an immigration attorney,
Yeah.
right? And so I think it's a little bit more involved. It might be easier to come in on the self-employed.
Yeah,
So
that's something that you really don't want to do yourself.
no. So,
you
I
know,
mean, because they even mentioned, restaurant,
Yeah.
guest house, or some conventional business. This visa would not be suitable for you. So they really are looking for innovative things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's say hello to some people, and then we will get back to the D3, the D4, the D5, etc. So hey, Action VJ,
Action
always,
VJ.
always up in the house. And I don't know where Auntie Trey is today. Oh, there she is. Hey, Maria, good to see you. Hello, Alexandria. Hola, Alexandria MD. Hey, Auntie Trey. Good to see you. Weren't first today, Auntie Trey. So, well, hey, what can we do? Hey, Vicky, good to see you. Christy D, good afternoon. Stella
how you
from
doing?
North Carolina. Hoping access to Portugal is accessible. It is. It really is. And, we were having a conversation with subscribers/friends on Friday, right, down in Cascais. And the bottom line is it's all about the numbers, right? It usually is not that subjective, especially if you're going for a D7 or the digital nomad visa or something like that. It really is about the numbers.
You know what? Can I give a shout out real quick?
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, we did one of the shows that we did was with Penny and June.
Yes.
That moved out here. Very, very interesting. We had them over last night. We had game night last night. So we invited.
And it was a late night.
Yeah. Everybody left about 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
But anyway, today is Penny's birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Penny.
We want to definitely give a shout out again to Penny.
So y'all remember June and Penny because June is the one whose son was murdered, and she and Penny are married, and they moved to Portugal about 3 months ago. And if you have not watched that video, you definitely should. We'll put a link in the description after this live. So yes, definitely shout out, happy birthday, Penny. So Marguerite, good to see you. Hi. Definitely. Hey, Holly.
Hey, Holly.
Good to see you. From Stubal, you're here. Yay.
Wow, cool.
Definitely.
How you liking Stubal?
It's so cute down there. Hey, Meriton. I like it. Hey, Francis. Hey, Curtis. Hey, Krishan. Good to see you. Vanessa. Good to see you. Hey, BP. Rhonda and Diane. Bye-bye visa. Kind of expensive anyway. Truly, truly. And, we would never, hey, Greta, hey, Venus, we would never suggest that people watching our show get the Golden Visa.
Go for the Golden Visa. Actually, we had someone that talked to us about it before. We said, why are you doing Golden Visa?
Yeah. I mean, so the bottom line is this, and this is what we've seen. One, the majority of Golden Visas went to Chinese folks for the most part, and then it's followed by South Africans, etc. We are like 1 of 1% Americans as far as the Golden Visa. A lot more in the last year, a year and a half, if you only look at that time frame. But overall, we're like, 1%, something like that, of all Golden Visas. So, the whole housing crisis and everything like that, it's a lot more nuanced and a lot more complicated than just the Golden Visa. The other thing is, the Golden Visa did encompass a lot of other investments.
And investments,
right,
yeah.
investment opportunities. But I would say 80 to 90% of all of the applications actually went to real estate golden visas and not the business ones or investing in R&D for some company, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, the reason why we don't think it is a good deal is because you don't know the marketplace. And so to just plop down $500,000 on a piece of property when you really don't understand the market is not very wise.
Yeah.
The other thing is if you wanted to rent it out and cover your mortgage and you even had a mortgage for 300,000 to 400,000 of that 500,000, there are not many Portuguese folks who could afford that, and not many Americans who should be willing to pay that here in Portugal. So the other thing is that there seems like that there were a lot of vultures around.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh
and
yeah.
and offering $200,000 properties for 500,000.
Oh yeah, just looking for you to come
euros,
with that
not dollars.
500K.
Yeah, definitely.
They see you coming.
They see you coming. Hey, Regina. Hey, Lisa. Good to see you down there in Cascais. Hi, Vibe. Good to see you. Carol B. Killer Queen. Jametta. Nubianette. Hello, everyone. Kay Stewart. I see you guys. So let's get
I saw
going with
Ron
more.
on here earlier.
Did
too.
you see Ron?
Yeah, there he is. Hey, True. How you doing?
Still trying to convince him to come out for more than a week.
And this doesn't count as our video call that we're going to be doing next week.
No, it does not call. Thank you, Choose to Shine. Smash that like button. We love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we've got the D1 visa. That is for employment. That's an employment visa. It can be a subordinate position, but most likely it's going to go to Portuguese person, somebody from one of the countries that speaks Portuguese, like Brazil, Angola, or Mozambique, Cape Verde, someplace like that, or an EU citizen. So that's probably not the one you're going to look at. D2, if you've got an innovative business idea, that could be your ticket. And then on to the D3.
Those are more like the highly qualified specialties.
Exactly.
Highly diplomaed.
Yes, highly diplomaed, because
highly diplomaed.
Right, if this is for the United States, it would be STEM. It would be right. It would be something that is dealing with computers or something like that. But as we dug deeper into what they consider highly qualified, I would just assume that you have to have a master's degree or higher. So it's for director level, like high level executive positions, but all different industries, from agriculture to hospitality, hospitals, et cetera, can qualify for a D3 visa. Now, the big difference between a D3 and a D1 visa is that the company does not have to say that they can't hire somebody else. That's number one. The second thing is that it kind of has the flexibility of a golden visa in that you don't have to be in country for a certain amount of time. The assumption is you're way up there at executive level and you might have to travel for your job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's what they are assuming. So that's the D3. You have to make 1.5 times national average, minimum wage, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll need to hold a postgraduate qualification or professional certification in a regulated industry. So that is the main piece of the D3. Moving on to the D4 visa.
So the D4 is Portugal's student visa category.
Yeah.
So, it's for non-European economic areas nationals seeking to spend more than 3 months in country for educational purposes.
So there are some other mandates that you have to show up to class. You have to maintain a certain GPA and all of that. Now they have two kinds of student visas. They have the D4 and the D5. The D5 is more like if you're just going to come, you're going to do an exchange.
Right.
For a semester or something like that, then you would have to get the D5. But if you want to get in for a more longer term residency as a student, and you could even like culinary school and things like that do qualify for the D4 visa. So that's the
Yeah.
D4 and the D5 visa, which is short-term educational purposes, or like an internship or a volunteer position, things along those nature, but things along that nature, but it's got to be less than a year. So the D5 is less than a year, the D4 is more than a year. The D6 visa.
So that's I always get this family reunification.
And we know someone who has done family reunification. As a matter of fact, we were thinking that might be the case if we didn't get both FBI things back in time.
Right.
Then maybe I would have to do a family reunification. Another friend of ours didn't qualify, but his wife did. So they just got him in on family reunification. And it's interesting because as I was reading, they really didn't talk about those types of situations. They talked about situations where it's your kids, even older kids, as long as you can prove that they are dependent upon you, et cetera, et cetera. That's the information that I saw on the CEF website.
Yeah.
But we do know spouses that have gotten their visa through the D6 family reunification. So
And you can even bring your parents if they're
dependent upon you.
Depending on you.
Yeah, through that visa. So everyone knows the next visa, the D7 visa.
Yep.
So we're here on the D7 visa. They call it the retirement or passive income visa, though we do know folks who have been remote workers, own their own business, usually entrepreneurs whose business is in the United States. Most of their clients or all of their clients are in North America or outside of Portugal, have gotten in on the D7 visa. Now, we have heard rumor that they are starting to crack down on the D7 and really reserve it for pensioners and passive income folks. So passive income could also be just rental property. It doesn't have to be Social Security. It doesn't have to be dividends, right? It just has to be passive. So that could include rental income. We have gone over all the qualifications for D7, but obviously we know that the best. So if you have questions after we go through this last one, then go ahead and ask us. So we've talked about the D1 through D7 visa. Now for the newest one, the D8 visa, otherwise known as
the digital nomad visa.
Yes. So this is designed to support persons who have guaranteed employment from outside of Portugal and wish to work remotely. There's more documentation that you have to confirm, especially if you are a W-2 type employee. There's documentation from your employer that you have to supply, et cetera, et cetera. Now, one of the main differences between the D8 and the D7 are the financial requirements. And this is big. So the financial requirements for the D8, the digital nomad visa, must be satisfactorily documented and be at least 4 times the minimum wage for Portugal. And as of this printing or recording, that's 3,040 euro per month. 3,040 euro per month, as opposed to 1,140 per month. So that is the big difference between, because it's 1.5 times for the D7 and then, 4 times for the D8. That's still not that much.
No.
I mean, that's under $40,000 a year. So it's not that much. And then lastly is the D9 visa. And the D9 visa is that Golden Visa. So if your application is already in there, there's a good chance that you can still go through with it. But yeah, as we don't suggest that. We do not suggest that.
If that's your thing and that's what you want to do, just make sure you get everything that you are looking to get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, with them, basically taking away the right to do Airbnbs in Lisbon and Porto, and I think even parts of the Algarve, if I remember correctly, I just don't see how a golden visa is worth it. I suppose if you buy, 15 acres or 16 acres or something like that on the countryside with a big villa that you want to turn into
Mhm.
a bed and breakfast or something like that, then perhaps,
Yeah.
right? But other than that, I just don't see the value. So, all right, we did it. This, y'all, one of the reasons why, after 3 years of Spanish, why we did not move to Spain. And hey, Rui, hey, Karen Louise. Hey, Professor. Good to see you guys. Kathy in the chat. Howard Worldview. Good to see you again. Rita, Starmark. Okay, Ronnie. Y'all, if you have questions, just put a Q in front of your questions. Thank you, Action VJ, for wishing Penny a happy birthday. So once again, we have the D1 visa for subordinate employees, but the company does have to prove that they cannot hire a Portuguese or EU person. You have the D2, which is the entrepreneurial for highly innovative and creative ideas. You have to have a business plan and you have to have some money to prove that you can actually start this business. We have the D3 for highly qualified individuals. That means you're going to have a postgraduate degree, probably a terminal degree, and it has to be in a regulated industry with professional where you have professional certification. And then you've got the D4 and the D5 visas. Those are both student visas, the D4 being long term, the D5 being more for exchange students. That makes sense at the college level.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the D6 visa, which is the family reunification, the D7 visa, which is passive income, and then the D8 visa, which is the digital nomad visa. And that is it in a nutshell, y'all. We did it. We did it. All right, let's see if you have any questions. I see you guys talking to each other. I'm renting for a year first. Absolutely.
Definitely.
That's what we suggest because, we're not the only ones who say this. Everyone who lives here says this, and it's probably true in any other country for the most part that you live in, besides perhaps Canada and the United States. The not the rental market, but the real estate market just operates so differently.
It's totally different. Yeah.
So differently. And
Yes.
you really do, in order for your purchase to be an investment, especially if you're not going to live in it, you really do have to understand the market. So it gets greater. Question. Hi, you guys. Hey, it gets greater later. I love that. It does. It does. I would not want to be 25, 30 years old for anything. I was so stupid. I was so stupid. Hey, Jazzy old chick, we're glad that you caught us live as well. I
Yeah,
usually see you in the
definitely.
comments after the fact. All right. If you have questions, hey friends, late but glad to be here. Patty, good to see you. Are you still here? If this is the same Patty who is over on the other side of the river, thank you, Patty. Thank you. Thank you. So my Brazilian friend did this for me at the Almada Depot. Okay, let's see. Hi, Rick and Halisi. Hey, George.
Hey,
Good to
George.
see you. Okay, here's a question. What is their definition of family reunification? Okay, let's see.
Husband and wife, children,
It has to be immediate family. Yeah.
immediate family,
Yeah.
dependent parents.
D6. Da-da-da-da. In order to bring your spouse, dependent children under the age of 18, and your financially dependent parents. That's it. So if you are a guardian of a child, they did go into all of that. All of that is on the website. Because in our community, there's lots of times where grandmas are taking care of other people's kids, not their own, or aunties or uncles are taking care of their nieces and nephews as their children. And in that case, if you do not have, you have to have some type of legal paperwork around that situation. So either and or if you're divorced, right? So with kids, just know that you're going to have to come with the paperwork, just like when you got their passport. If you have legal guardianship or there's a certified letter or something like that from the birth parents saying that you may take their child as your own, right? And that you have been taking care of them. So just know that all of that paperwork is going to have to be done if it's not both sets of parents who are bringing the kid to Portugal. And then, of course, dependent parents, which is really good for our community because it's our community who usually tends to be the sandwich generation who is paying it forward to our parents with absolutely no tax write-off like you can for kids. So, yeah.
And actually, there was another way to citizenship that my friend and his wife, because she found out in her heritage.
Yes, but how many people in our community? If you have a grandparent, that was Portuguese, is Portuguese, then yes, you can get a passport that way by, going through the process.
But it took her 5 years.
Okay.
To go through all that.
Yeah. So there's something to be said for that, Krishan. What was true yesterday is not necessarily true today, right? And so right now, like even when we applied for the D7 visa, when we started researching the D7 visa, if you were on a pension or Social Security, your tax burden for as long as you did everything you were supposed to do with the non-habitual residents and signed up, blah, 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 was going to be 0%. It's now 10%. So in our Move Abroad toolkit, the information to get that is below. We talk about, you really do need to know the tax implications no matter where you choose to move and make sure that what you are planning for is actually what's going to happen. So, hey, Southern Rose Tia, good to see you.
Patio's going for the D8.
So you're going for the D8. All right. Very, very cool. I have practiced abroad and would like to do it again as a volunteer. Okay, then the D4 or the D7 or the D5 visa may be the one for you, Victor. So that's what I would look at. And y'all, if you just Google D4 visa Portugal or D5 visa Portugal, and then look for the one that's the .gov.pt. And it's usually CEF, but or VFS. VFS has have good lists too to what all the qualifications are.
And you can try Action VJ. we'll cooperate.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, what's happening with Airbnbs in Lisbon? So, because a lot of folks were buying properties and just doing short-term rentals, that was taking a lot of inventory off of, out of the market. And so lack of inventory means regular long-term rental prices are going to skyrocket. And so I think it was last year, actually, maybe even the year before that they said no more Airbnb new licenses in the city proper of Lisbon. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't, like Stubal, we had somebody who's down in Stubal, that you couldn't get an Airbnb necessarily down in Stubal.
Right.
But you can't in Lisbon proper nor Porto. If one spouse doesn't get approval for D7, does the spouse apply for the D6 after the spouse gets their residency card? Yes, and I don't even think you have to wait. You don't have to wait until they get the residency card. Just once they get the yes on the visa, then it's basically official. And hopefully the spouse that qualified can qualify financially because the other person is now kind of a dependent. All right, so just take that into account, Rhonda. So Rui is saying Golden Visa was not made for people with medium or low income. No, it was not.
No.
And see, here's the thing, if you, let's just say you were a school teacher, but you bought your house in LA back in the 80s, and now it's worth $1 million, and you paid $200 for it. right? And so now you've got all of this equity. Do you really want to take all of that and spend it on one piece of property here in a country that you're not as familiar with? Mm-mm. No, that's not what you want to do. My workplace keeps hinting that they want us to go fully remote again. If they send us home again, I'll ask them to define remote.
Yeah, there you go.
That right there. That right there. So I know.
Yeah.
So y'all, it's because of you guys that we're here on time. Because somebody in the comments said, remember? And I had remembered, and then I scheduled things and totally forgot. So, this Thursday we're going to have Rossini on, and it's all going to be Q&A about getting an apartment here in Lisbon. So it's going to be a short 30-minute Q&A. We're not going to do a lot of talking. We're just going to take your questions about finding an apartment in Portugal. Has there been talk about removing the 12-month lease requirement? No.
No.
Look, Krishan, know that a 12-month lease does not mean you have to do 12 months of purgatory, right? Here's what's going to happen usually. You're going to sign the lease. Let's just say you sign the lease in January. So now you've got your lease and you can apply for your visa. So say you still have your appointment in January, if you're fortunate enough for that to be the case, right? So you start paying rent January, and then you have your appointment, let's just say 10 days after that.
Right.
Are you going to then turn around and move February 1st? Either way, you've already paid 1 month. And now you still have to wait to get your yes for your visa, for your D7 or whatever kind of residency visa you're going for. But you came here on a tourist visa in February because you didn't want to wait, right? So by the time you get your yes, most of the 4 months that you have to do for that lease has already passed. And you it goes like that. And so you've done the 1/3 of the law requires for your contract. And if if the place is not suitable, if the neighbors are loud or whatever it is, then you can change. But what we've seen is that half of that 4-month period is usually spent in the States with you paying rent here in Portugal for a place that you're not staying in. And so these visas and the fact that Portugal still has an easy pathway to citizenship is because they want people here, living here, and adding to the GDP. And what they found was people were like, oh, it's easy. All I have to do is XYZ. Okay, I'll do it. And then they don't have the 12-month lease. They change their mind. Meanwhile, the embassy or consulate has put manpower and money towards, okaying visas
Right.
that then don't get used. And so that's one of the reasons why they're making the hoops a little bit higher to jump through, is because they want to make sure that you really, really, truly do want to be here in Portugal.
They want to make sure that you're sure.
Yeah. And you ain't going through all that. Let me tell you. Shoot, that stress, I think I got see that grade. Yeah.
That's from me.
Hi, Preston here. Hey, Preston.
Hey,
How are you
Preston.
feeling about Mexico given the recent events? So I'm not sure if you're talking about.
I think he's talking about the people that got kidnapped and
That's
some
what I
got
thought.
killed. And they, from understanding, is they did find out that different things was going on. It was a mistake and stuff like that. But that's not all of Mexico. Sometimes look at all the things that go on in the United States. It's not all of the United States that it happens to. I mean, seems like the major shootings. Well, yeah, they can happen at any given time, but a lot of those places aren't near other places that people settle in Mexico. They're just not around in those areas.
Yeah, so. It's usually in the border towns and things like that. Baja California is a little,
I mean, it's
Not all
terrible.
of Baja, but parts of Baja, are a little sketch
It truly is terrible for something like that to
to happen.
happen, and
Absolutely.
people,
You
innocent
know,
people, getting caught up in the middle of different things.
but
But
let's not get it twisted. When you look at the rate of violent crime in the United States, especially against people of color and especially against Black people and especially by people who are supposed to be peacekeepers, and then compare that to what happens in Mexico from time to time. I mean, the fact that it's news tells you something because we get killed at such a frequent rate that it doesn't even make the news anymore. There's so many mass shootings that don't even make the news anymore, right? And we don't even hear about it. So if it's making the news, then that means it's an anomaly because otherwise our news would be nothing but mass shootings because we've had more mass shootings than we've had days in the United States
yeah,
this year,
in the year, yeah,
right? So,
so I feel good about Mexico still. I
yeah,
really do.
we do, and the people that we know that are there are still happy. They still feel safe. They don't happen to live in the places that are a little bit more dangerous, but I don't want to pick on Chicago, but there's a difference between living in Chicago, living in Denver, living in Tallahassee, living in New York, LA, San Francisco Bay Area. You would not necessarily say, you know, the United States is out of control based upon one neighborhood in Chicago and what's going on there, or one or two neighborhoods in LA and what's going on there. So, yeah. Um, but
And sure, Latanya, I adopt your daughter. You can be my little baby girl.
though I want to say one more thing about Mexico, and here's the thing, and this is not my opinion, this is my tutor's opinion, who is Latin American and Black, and in her opinion, Mexico, which is North America, Central America, and South America are highly, highly, highly influenced by the United States.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
United States is violent, and anything that's going to be influenced by the United States is going to be a little bit more violent than some other places.
Good point.
Now, I'm just saying. Do you have any idea what the tax rate looks like after the initial tax scheme? For some things, it's not that much more. So, like, let's just say being taxed on YouTube. This is just a straight tax, not including write-offs and all of that stuff. Just like the United States, there's write-offs and all of that, and you won't necessarily have to pay this rate. But under NHR, it's 20%. I just talked to a tax person last week, and so I know that after the NHR, it will be 23%. The point is just that we make sure that we keep all of our receipts and we make
Hmm.
sure that we have, everything documented that we need to have documented. So, as far as our pension is concerned, I'm not sure about that. Um, I didn't ask her that, but for some reason, I think it is 20%. So I think we get a 50% discount for the first 10 years. Um, if I have my way, it will be irrelevant, Alexandria. It will be irrelevant. I have already put out there in the atmosphere what we want, what we want our business to look like, our side hustle slash business to look like next year and the year after that. And so being highly taxed means you've got a lot of money to be taxed. To have a high tax bill, you got to have a lot of money to be taxed. And so I'm going to assume that we will be in that category and it will be of no consequence, like our good friends Christina and Aman.
Yeah, and it's already in the works. It's working.
So yeah.
It's working.
So all right, Auntie Trey, what was the statement you made about the Airbnbs with regard to residency? Um, we were just talking about Airbnb. Someone asked about why Airbnbs, what's happening with Airbnbs in Lisbon in general. Um, you cannot use an Airbnb and your little reservation on Airbnb to qualify for residency, unless at one point Washington D.C. was allowing that. That's the only place that I know that was allowing that, and I don't think they are anymore.
But wouldn't Airbnb have to be registered with the financial office?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be worth their while, I wouldn't think.
Well, no,
Because they're
not in
paying
that.
high taxes for short term, and I don't think
Yeah,
Airbnb would be too crazy about that.
yeah, yeah. Especially because the fees. Now, if you took an Airbnb and got a contract off
Yeah,
platform
right.
for the Airbnb, that would be different. Like we were trying to do with the Namaste lady. Did you hear about the Silicon Valley Bank failure? Yes, we did. And the US
Mm-hmm.
government had to step in. I didn't hear about that part. Stock tanked on Friday, meaning it's on sale. So Greta, this is a perfect segue. Yes. Because it will come back up. And we did hear about that. We were actually out to lunch with Lisa, who is in the chat, and she's the one who told us because we haven't been paying attention to the news that day, with the train strikes and everything else that's going on. But we do have our course, Beyond the Bling Money Mindset Makeover for Financial Independence. It's self-paced, on-demand course. And if you buy the 5 one-on-one bundle, then you can get it for free. All of that information is below. And we go over
Mm-hmm.
investing for beginners. If you are a beginner at this thing, if you are new to financial independence and you want to live the life that we're living, or even better, we hope better for you, right? Then this is one way that you can get started and get on the path for financial independence. Everything that we learned in the past 4 years is in this course, and some, and
Mm-hmm.
some. And so Greta took a version of it, and I know that she would endorse it highly. But yes, so we'll talk about that in the Fire Over 50 Facebook group. Anyone who is
Mm-hmm.
from the diaspora who is interested in financial independence, join our Fire Over 50 Facebook group. You don't have to be over 50. Not sure if I missed this. We can still obtain Airbnb housing for upcoming visits in June, correct? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. There are still Airbnbs here. You just can't get, if I were an investor, you cannot get a new license. Now, I think that does mean we could purchase a license from someone else who already has a license, right? And take over their Airbnb, say for instance. But they're not giving any
Right.
new licenses. So yeah, there's still Airbnbs here. There's still plenty of Airbnbs. There's still, decent prices. And if you're coming here in June, I would book sooner than later because June is
It's
a
a busy
very
month.
busy month.
Very busy month. A
Yeah.
lot of festivals.
Yeah, and it's fun. I've been to Portugal twice. I think it's best in order to get my NEEF bank account and apartment. I should return for 2 weeks. I am particular about where I live. Your thoughts? If you can return for a month, that would be better, Victor.
Give yourself all the time you can give yourself.
All of the time that you can give yourself. So we were here for a month. We already had our NEEF. We opened a bank account. Looking for an apartment, depending upon when you're coming, can be time consuming. And we're going to have Rossini on this Thursday for our short live, 5 p.m. Eastern time. If you can make it, to ask him questions. He's the one who found this wonderful apartment that we're in. He found this for us. And one thing that we found when we were looking for this apartment is that agents, so a lot of times you find an apartment because they're basically condos, what we would call a condo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Individually owned, or one person owns two, three, four, something like that for the most part. And so a lot of the rentals are through a real estate agent. And they just don't get back to you.
No.
They just don't get back to you. So if you need help with that, or if you got this, if you understand Lisbon well enough, give yourself the time, because you'll be calling them and calling them and calling them. Some of them will be Johnny on the spot, but we found some who actually gave us our card and said, please, we'd love to work with you. And then they call us a month and a half later. It's like, dude, you're too late. What exactly do they mean with innovative ideas? Okay, let's go back to the D2. Was that the D2? I think that was the D2.
Yes.
Yes. So Portugal seeks to incentivize emerging entrepreneurs to settle in Portugal and start an innovative enterprise in Portugal. In order to be eligible to apply for the D2, you'll need to have an innovative or original idea. Okay. So contract for services for the carrying out of liberal professional blah blah blah. Let's see. They're not saying exactly. So Tanya, let me do this while we're answering other questions. If you can click on that link so we can get more information, because there's probably,
I don't think the link. Yeah,
yeah, it's in there. So we'll look that up for you, baby. But they do say guest house, restaurant stuff, conventional businesses. That's not what they're talking about. So, okay, other questions? Here we go. Thoughts on Stubal? I'm considering scouting there. Stubal is cute. It really is. And what I like about, well, first of all, it's less expensive. It has a really cute, El Centro or Old Town area. We showed some of that actually in our Christmas video. We did. We showed part of it in our Christmas video, and then we showed another part in the beaches of Troia. I think you pronounce it Georges Rui. Please forgive me. Please. Y'all know.
They know.
They know. But the beaches of Portugal, that video with Twana, we show part of Stubal in that one as well. So it's less expensive. You are so close to some pristine beaches, like just across a quick ferry ride right across the way to these pristine, untouched beaches. It's really, really beautiful. Krishana, I think you'd love it. It's slower. It's slower, and it is about a good, 45-minute train ride?
Yeah, about 45 minutes.
From the
close to an hour. Yeah, if that.
Yeah, but that was coming from the north part of the city where we live.
Yeah. So that
or a little bit north of where we live.
Easy accessible to Lisbon and.
Yeah. So it takes the card that we use, the Metro card that we use. There's a train that goes across the bridge, or you can take the ferry across. There's just lots of ways to get there. So very cool. With the D7 visa, in addition to your retirement income, can you also make YouTube income? Yes, you can make YouTube income. But if the question is, does that count towards your passive income? I suppose it could, right? Like one could say that we've got all of these videos out there that are making money for us. And if we did not do any more videos, they would still be passively making income for us. So I would say, yes, some of that could qualify as passive income. But I'm not certain. So how they would do that. So I think I'll ask Gail about that. But yeah, if you qualify with passive income, can you then do YouTube? If that's the question, are you allowed to? Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Will it count towards your qualifications?
So
that I'm not sure.
Isn't really saying what type of innovative thing.
See, usually, sorry guys, we're just looking at this one more time. Yeah, self-employed. So I would say something that is not going to compete necessarily with traditional Portuguese businesses, Tanya, as far as innovative goes. So like a colleague of ours started an app for expats, right? If she's monetizing that, then that would be considered innovative. So if it's going to compete with there's a huge cottage industry here. And what I mean by that, a lot of the businesses that you use for your daily stuff are owned by mom and pop. They're owned by individuals. They're not chains. There's not a lot of except for the pharmacies. There's a couple of chain pharmacies, but there's not 7-Elevens and things like that, and franchises and things like that for the most part. 90% of the businesses that we frequent are not chains. And so if we call ourselves innovative and yet we're going to compete with half the people who are on the street, then that's not being innovative. I will get some more information after this, and I will put it in the description below. Can you just make a note of that? So thank you, babe. Best visa for someone not working but not of retirement age. How much would you need to have other than that? So Joy, if you've got passive income, it's not about the age. It's not like Mexico where they're only going to give a pensioner's visa to people who are pensioners age, right? Or really retired, as opposed to working remotely or having your own business, etc. So it really is, Joy, about passive income. And I say that to say, you all know Our Rich Journey. Christina and Aman are here on the D7 visa, and they're, mid 40s at this point. That was fast, right? I know. They're mid 40s. And so, but the majority of I don't know if the majority anymore, but basically they got here on the dividends that were coming from their investments. And so it's just about how the money is coming to you. And that is the big thing with the D7 visa. So if you can prove that you have the means to take care of yourself, then you can qualify, right? It's 1.5 times their minimum wage. And so for the D7, that is
1140.
Was it 1140? Your memory is better than mine. Yep. That was it, 1140. Talk to the people, Halisi. Let's make sound money decisions, right? I'm also not a fan of just flat out telling folks to sell their homes that could be great nest eggs. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I understand, like, we're dealing right now with the whole front or main floor of one of our places is being painted and going back and forth with the vendor on that, plus the people who are living there. And are there other things that I'd rather be doing?
Of course. I'm not having to worry about that, but.
However, I don't look at it as a safety net, because the thought of having to go back to the United States, just the sticker shock alone, I'm not feeling. But knowing that we probably will always have an income from that is calming. No matter what happens to Social Security, by the time they get around to trying to get rid of Social Security 10 years from now, by that time, we will be netting more than we would get from Social Security from the rent of our homes. So yes, Patty, I totally agree. Jazzy old chick. Does the U.S. have a tax treaty with Portugal and Mexico? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So, which means for folks who are new, that means you will not have to pay taxes in both places. However, state taxes.
Yeah, you got state taxes.
State taxes.
They ain't the same as federal. So.
Thank you, Rui. It's nice to know that we've got Portuguese validators in the house. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
And Rui, I have been working on the video we shot with you down at the Opera House, and
it's coming out soon.
Yeah, it's going to be coming out soon. I'm finishing up on it.
I've spoken to many locals who are being asked to pay 12 to 14 months up front, really, and they have been looking for 5+ months trying to find a place where they don't have to pay the full amount up front. You see, that's some baloney. That is some baloney. And here's the thing, guys, we don't want to add to that. So I would say fight that as much as you can. Get with a landlord who wants you, who trusts you, who's looking at your finances and saying, of course, if they want to pull a credit report, let them pull a credit report. But I don't think it helps the people of Portugal for us to be going for this nonsense, because then landlords are going to start insisting on that. Remember, The majority of the golden visas were bought by Chinese folks who
Yeah.
do not live here. So, like our neighbor, her landlord's Chinese. He does not care. He doesn't care that her stove is blows a fuse every other time she turns it on, or all these other issues with the place. He just wants to raise the rent. And so when she leaves, they're going to get somebody else in there who's going to be unhappy, but he's going to extract all this money, he or she, I think it's a he, going to extract all this money from the new tenants. This is not helping out Portugal, and it's not helping out the Portuguese folks to be going for the okey doke.
Mhm.
So thank you, Patty. How does getting a temporary residency in Mexico help you get your residency in Portugal? One has nothing to do with the other,
No, it
Curtis.
has nothing to do with the other.
So we got residency in two different. As a matter of fact, I thought it was going to hurt. Remember, I was really nervous
Yeah,
about
because
that.
we thought that they might look at the Mexico residency and it's like, well, you got a Mexican residency
Yeah.
and you're trying to move. Why are you moving to Portugal?
Exactly. But they didn't care because we had a 1 year lease and all this other stuff. We were tied to coming here.
It's the numbers, it's the money.
But we got residency in Mexico for two main reasons. The first one is because why not? It was easy. It was easy to get permanent residency as pensioners. So we did, and there was no requirement to stay in country for any amount of time. So, at least until we got our green card, which we got it same day. So we could have left the next day.
And you got to keep in mind, it's a foreign country. They can change their laws anytime they want. It ain't nothing you can do about it. But, history goes to show that, we're good.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, if there's another pandemic and stuff like that, and we want to get back to North America, we have a choice that as permanent residents of Mexico, we can just go to Mexico. We don't necessarily have to go back to the United States to be closer to our family, which a good portion are in California right there. So yeah, it has nothing to do with it. We just wanted choices.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that was about. And, this last year, International Living, the number one spot for Americans to retire, Portugal. The number two spot, Mexico. So does renting a room satisfy the lease requirements? I don't see why not. And so if a person, owns their condo apartment and they have registered with the financia office that they are renting out one of their rooms and they are paying the taxes on that room for whatever, they're getting, I don't see why it wouldn't qualify. As long as you have a lease and the situation is registered with the financia office.
As long as you get the landlord to agree to that.
Yeah, they would have to agree to that. Okay, so put a Q in front of your questions, but I think this is a question. Do you know whether it's easier to find long-term lease in northern Portugal or the Silver Coast? I would say yes. Less demand, Antoine, than Lisbon proper. So obviously, like the Silver Coast, parts of the Silver Coast are going to be easier and less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Cascais can be less expensive. The suburbs of Lisbon will be easier and a tad less expensive. The farther you go to the cold, I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to be cold. So, but some people like it, just less people. Probably. And so that's why, so yes, you only have to do a third of the lease. That's one of the reasons why they are asking people to pay 12 months in advance, because they get here and they break it. It's really important to understand the difference between a typical Portuguese apartment and a typical apartment in the United States. You have to manage your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Open concepts and all of that stuff are not a thing here in most of the older buildings. If it is, you're going to pay a premium for that. If they've knocked down walls and renovated in that fashion, like our apartment is updated. We've got internet, we've got candle ceiling lights and all of that stuff. And the building's probably from the 1800s. All of the appliances in the kitchen are updated, but the kitchen is back there and the living room is over there in the front of the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And so the style is typical Portuguese. It is closed off. It's got hallway and all of this stuff. Some places, like the building next door, they knock down walls, and they're paying more for that. They're paying more for that. So as long as you manage expectations, I think and understand that the way you live here in Portugal is not going to be the same exact way you can live in the United States, then you can get an apartment that you can actually stay in and less of that stuff is happening. Yeah, Action VJ, there were a lot of other political reasons. Some of the newspaper articles said that they feared that there was some money laundering going on with the Golden Visa and things like that. So even though, the vast majority of applications were real estate investments for the Golden Visa, they still believe that there was some money laundering going on. So how true that is or not, I have no idea. Hey, Tanisha, good to see you. Glad you made it. Question, do you guys know anyone that was able to move there and work there that was not ready to retire? So Danette, no. It is very difficult. And when you say work, like if you're going to come here and create a business, that's one thing, right? We do know people who have their own businesses with employees that are not based here, that are here, indefinitely. But if you're talking about working for a Portuguese company, then you have to go back to what we said before. You have to be highly qualified. You have to already have a contract, and you have to realize that Portuguese salaries are not anywhere close to American salaries in most of the country, in most of the United States, right? And so, if they're saying for highly qualified individuals, you have to be making 1.5 times minimum wage, and that's $1,140 per month, y'all, per month. So let me just triple check that under the D3 visa. I'm almost positive they said 1.5. Yeah. Oh, but they're saying, they're saying 1.5, but then it says 1,700 euros per month. So is 1.5 1,100 or is 1,700? So an employment contract of at least 1 year's duration corresponding to annual remuneration of 1.5 times national average, not what? So 1.5 times the national average, not minimum wage. And so 1,752 euros per month for a highly qualified individual. We know people who are doing side hustles that are making more than, let's just say that's about $1,900 per month. Mm-hmm. That's poverty level in the United States. It's poverty level in Denver, at least. So, okay, did I read that one? Okay, great. So I must have skipped over one. Can you start the D7 in your home country and then move to Portugal? You must start the D7 in your home country and secure your housing after you arrive. No, you have to have your housing when you go to get your application for your D7. I know. We said the same thing. How? What? That's crazy. You mean before I even apply? What if I don't get, what if I am not successful? The only way you're not successful is if you don't qualify. Right. You will know if you qualify. So we told you we used Gail at Relocate to Portugal. It's just relocatetoportugal.com. We used Gail. She's very busy. She's not that expensive, which is why she's really busy, but she knows her stuff. She will not let you apply if you don't qualify. And so we were worried that we would get a no, but there was no way we could get a no because we qualified. We turned in everything that was on the list. We had our lease, and so it's a numbers game at that point. Do they make at least this much? Yes, they do. Do they have a lease? Yes, they do. Do they have a criminal background? No, they don't. Boom. Do they have their NEEP in their bank account with 3 to 4 months worth of living expenses in it? Yes, they do. Okay, they qualify. Give them their visa. It's just that simple. So if you qualify, and this is the reason why we don't suggest you DIY it unless you know that you know that you know that you know. If you've been studying this for a long time and you know that you know that you know that you know, and you don't necessarily have to have the 1 year lease because you're doing it back east,
Right.
then perhaps you DIY it. I did not want to sign a 1 year lease and spend all of that money and then not turn in something correctly. I knew we qualified, but there's a lot of little things like you've got to give the Portuguese government permission to do a background check here. Did you fill out that paperwork right? It's nice to have a reference. Do you have that Portuguese resident or citizen who's a reference? All of that stuff. Those are the little things that help and that Gail will help you with. So border towns have been problematic in the US. Yes, they have been. Okay. Is it better to get a lease on an inexpensive apartment while waiting in the States for a D7 visa? Either way it goes, Lise, you are going to be paying rent on a place that you're not staying in.
Right.
So, if let's just say you're fortunate, and if I remember correctly, you get to go. No, you have to go to San Francisco as well, but I know some people get to go to DC. They get answers really fast. So what if you get the answer in 3-4 weeks? It could happen.
Yeah.
And now you've got an apartment that you're not comfortable in. So if you think that inexpensive apartment that you can be comfortable in it for at least the 6 months, or, obviously you don't have to do 4 months, but, trying to avoid being those people who break leases early, would you be comfortable in it for the whole year while you look for another place? And then the other thing is rents are never, for the most part, going to be less expensive than they are now. Now, I can't remember if it's Rui who said he believed that rents were going to come down. I've never seen rent come down, ever. But this is our first time living in Portugal. I know if this was the United States, it does not matter. Rents are not coming down. They just don't. They'll stop growing. Like if there's more inventory, then maybe they'll stay flat. But have you ever heard of rents going down? No. So that's another thing. Maybe you go ahead and bite the bullet and get the apartment that you want, because you might not be able to find the apartment that you want later for a price that you really want to pay. I would weigh that. I'm applying for a D7 visa as a physician who doesn't want to practice, as I have other investments. Good for you, Victor. Should I apply for the other visa for highly degreed? Not if you don't want to practice. If you've got the $1140 per month in passive income from your investments, from rental property, etc.,
stay with the D7.
Then just stay with the D7.
Stay with the D7.
We didn't even, when we applied, she did not realize I had sent her the information on our rental income. And so we qualified just with his Social Security. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Iris, we will be able to better answer that question on Thursday. Hopefully you can join us when we have Rossini on of Lisbon House Finders. Because I have no idea what the average price of a 1-bedroom apartment is right now. I can tell you we have a 3-bedroom apartment. But is it really a 3-bedroom apartment?
Hey, they advertise it as one, and
that's their story, and they're sticking to it.
It's a 3-bedroom apartment.
Yeah. But in the United
States, it was a bed.
There was a bed in here. There's a nice big window. There was a desk and a little wardrobe.
It's a bedroom. It is. It's a
In the
three
United
bedroom
States, we
apartment.
would refer to this as a 2 bedroom plus an office. And we pay $13.25, as y'all know. Now, I'm hearing that it's hard to find this kind of deal these days in this kind of neighborhood. We're in the historic area, but we're outside of the tourist area. Um, I don't know. I love our
We can
apartment.
best answer that question when we have Rosini on. He's been on the streets
Yeah,
looking and talking and dealing with this stuff. So
exactly. Exactly. So, okay, I thought that was a cue or rent to folks in the community that are scouting. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. I have seen BBVA here, haven't we?
yes, I do believe.
Yeah. I don't see why not. If it's here, you should be able to open up an account. Yeah, boarding house. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Teresa. Hi, Halisi and Rick. This is my first time catching you live. Hey, welcome,
Hey.
welcome, welcome. So happy to be here. We're glad you're here. Hey, H Town. Haven't seen you in a while. Isanwat is usually in the comments. Can you open a remote bank account in Portugal from the US to get the NEEF? Okay. So the NEEF and the bank account don't have anything to do with each other. You do not want to open a bank account before you get the NEEF because then they'll give you a temporary NEEF. And if you get a temporary NEEF,
You don't
then
want that.
yeah, then it's going to be really hard for you
Hassles. Yeah.
hassles to get the permanent NEEF and detangle all of that stuff. So in the description below, we have an organization that we work with. If you're going to DIY, part of this stuff, or you're not close to applying, but you want to get your NEEF now because you're going to come out for a scouting trip or something like that, Border.io is down in the description below.
Mm-hmm.
We have a link. They will help you get your NEEF and your bank account from the United States. We got our NEEF when we were in the United States. You're going to have to give them power of attorney because they're going to have to take that kind of responsibility for you saying that what they are submitting is actually the truth, right? So that's what you will have to do to get your NEEF. And if I'm not mistaken, it seems like we had to get something not certified, but notarized. I can't remember, but they'll tell you. And you can get your bank account when you get here, or you can have them get it for you. But get your NEEF first and then get your bank account. Yay, Krishan got her NEEF. Very good. Very good. You are on your way. Will a mismanaged bank stock rebound? I don't know. I'm not investing in it. That's for doggone sure. I'm very, very picky about the banks that I invest in. Are you saying you have to pay taxes on your pension in Portugal? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Do you have to pay 10%? Yes and no. Once you have the write-offs, et cetera, at the end of the day, the chances of it being 10% are going to be low because, part of your rent, you can write that off. The food that you buy,
that's where the NEEFs come in.
That's why you have a
use
NEEF
your
number.
NEEF for everything.
When we buy bubble gum, we give them our NEEF number.
Yeah.
When at the pharmacy with medication, all of our groceries, when we've gone to IKEA and bought, furniture and or, like the coffee maker and stuff like that, they take our NEEF. And so a portion of that, the sales tax on all of those, we get to write off. I'm not trying to understand it. That's why I have hired a tax person. But yeah, so some of that will get written off, and then hopefully we'll be down at a 6 or 7% interest rate or a tax rate. But yeah,
say what?
but yeah, we do have to pay taxes on the pension, and so take that into consideration. Like we said, we do have our Move Abroad toolkit down below that walks you through all of these things. But you do have to plan accordingly. Plan for the taxes that you're going to have to pay. You need to plan for the eventualities of a fluctuation in the exchange rate. Right now, it's kind of even. We're about 5 to 6% under. After Friday, who knows? We might be going down even more. Sometimes we have parity, and sometimes we don't. Okay, and we're looking for questions. Here we go. Did we answer this one? Any thoughts about hiring someone to help with a scouting trip? I know Rossini has been helping some people with scouting trips as far as the housing piece goes, and he shows different neighborhoods and stuff like that. We do have a scouting trip checklist, and we talk about, in the video that we did, Airbnb do's and don'ts, we talk about the difference between visiting and a scouting trip and all of the things that you need to keep in mind. We also did a video called How to Plan a Scouting Trip. And that's a short video that we did on a Thursday that comes with the scouting trip checklist as well. So we suggest that you look at that first before thinking that you necessarily need to hire someone. Are Portuguese language schools considered okay for the student visa? Could you change from a student to the D7 retiree visa? So about the second thing, I have heard of people doing that. Okay. I have heard of people doing that. Whether a language school, there have been some schools I was like, oh, that qualifies. So could be. But if you Google D4 visa for Portugal and then click on the link, it will give you a little bit more information about. So it's the D4 and the D5, but the D4 is for more than a year, and sounds like that's what you're looking for. Passing grade, blah blah blah. Evidence of registration in a higher education institution. Tuition has to be paid. You have to have health insurance. Blah blah blah. Interior higher education and high education. Okay, yeah. So I would look on the website and see what different types of schools. But like I said, I do know someone who came here and went to culinary school. So, and not at a traditional university. So, yeah. All right, Jeanette. How do you feel transportation options are for we non-drivers out here for good? Bear, next time, take the train. So we don't plan on having a car. Like we came home in a Uber today, and I had to keep my eyes closed for part of the ride. I am not trying to be on these Lisbon streets with these drivers.
Oh, he had it. Dude had it. When he blew the horn, was fussing at one driver out. I said, oh, he got this.
No, I'm not looking. And the streets are narrow and everything else. So, watch our transportation video, get the apps. And a reason why I say get the apps and City Mapper as well is because it lets you know when transportation is on strike, when one of the lines or is on strike. The people with the trains go on strike, the people with the metro subways go on strike. Like today, they stopped running at 5:00 for some reason. I don't know. Now, unlike the United States, when they go on strike, they usually don't just stop all service. That's usually not the case. Usually it's just limited service. So for instance, when we're on our way to Cascais, usually there's a train going, I think every 20 minutes. They were going once every hour to hour and a half. And then there was a big, huge chunk where they didn't go at all. And then they started back up at 3:00. Things like that. So that's just the stuff that you have to be aware of and can plan for accordingly. We have no intention on getting a car.
No.
We have no intention on getting a scooter. We wanted to get a scooter.
I mean, if you live out like she said earlier, like on the Silver Coast or different places like that outside of Lisbon where everything isn't as close, then you might need a car. But I'm not planning on driving no car. I mean, in caught a case, somebody hit my Tesla or something.
And it seems like a good portion of the cars here have dents in them. So yeah, I mean, Krishan, everyone doesn't want to live in Lisbon. You might not even like it. I love the fact that it's crowded and energetic. I love it. I love seeing people on the street at all times of day and night. Um, and I can't say that the city doesn't close down because it does, but there always seems to be some bar open if you're about that life as well. So, you know, you might just want to be a 15 or 20-minute train ride to the nightlife.
And there are places right outside of Lisbon I could live.
Yeah, they're
I
pretty.
wouldn't mind it at all.
They're
But
pretty.
trying to convince.
I'm not moving.
See?
I'm not moving till we can buy.
Well, yeah, I want to buy. I still want a villa. I do.
He's gonna have me out in the countryside, you guys.
No,
What am I
I
do?
wouldn't do that if you don't. We got to agree on it, but you can get a nice little villa somewhere around here.
We'll see. We'll see. I see the yard work.
You hire somebody. But see, we making all that money, so we good to go. You ain't got to worry about nothing. It's all taken care of.
You see this? All right, this is manifestation, y'all.
Put it out there. Put it
So
out there.
yeah, 1140. Greta said 1140. That's the D7 qualification right now. Okay, I'm 65 and would like to know how much income you have to have for the D7. So we just answered that. Put a Q in front of your question, y'all, or I might miss it. Establishing residency in Nevada before I bounce because no state taxes, right? So we didn't change because Colorado right now are pretty low, but we definitely not having residency in California. You ready to try the snails when they come back out?
Yes, definitely. Me and Rui's gonna go and have us some beer and snails.
You all can have it. Are people paying that many months in advance? Unfortunately, yeah, some are. At least 2 or 3 places wanted 1 year from us. And here's the thing. When I would question them about this, I'm like, why does the landlord want a year? And they said, oh no, that's just my policy. This is the agent. That's why I was really happy to deal directly with the owner of the apartment. Because no. Yes. All right, Action VJ.
Action VJ.
Yes. Mexican residency in January. Portugal is next. Congratulations.
Shit, now doesn't that feel good, Action VJ? It just feels good.
You got your exit. Regardless. See you in Querétaro, Mexico City, someplace. I know. So we were trying to go to a celebration tonight. Well, it's past the time, so we can say Penny's surprise party. And we were early because they changed the time and I didn't realize it. And so we went over there for nothing. But I was just walking around just like, it's okay. It's so pretty. It's a pretty day. It was supposedly only 67, but it felt like 72.
It felt like in the 70s, yeah.
It really did.
Very good.
So Opal, welcome from Facebook. Hello. Do you have homestead exemption taxes on your home in the U.S.? Did your taxes increase since you're now a resident of Portugal? So no, no increase in taxes because we are not living in the United States. And we have not, I don't know. You know what? I need to check and see if we qualify for the homestead. It's not an exemption in Denver, but when you have lived in a house for a certain amount of time and you are of a certain age, they just your taxes don't go up. So they don't get eliminated, but they stop going up. So we need to check on that. We might qualify. So thank you, Opal. Thank you. Okay. Is a D7 financial requirements 1140? Yeah, you're absolutely right, yes. Greta. You are absolutely right. Backpack Vegan sounds like a new name. Welcome. Hi, I'm glad I finally made it to alive. Yes, new name. Very
Yeah,
good.
welcome, welcome.
Do you think it's worth seeking a temporary visa in Mexico when Mexico seems to be allowing 180 visas? I don't qualify for the country. Oh, yes, we do. So the question is, where are you going to be in the meantime? Most people get temporary visas, and if I remember correctly, it's for 2 years, and then the second time you go, it's 3 years, and then after that, you can
You can
qualify for
qualify
permanent.
for permanent.
And we know people who are way under retirement age who have qualified for permanent after after being on a temporary visa. So the only caveat is that you then have to go back to Mexico, after the 2 years to go back there to not reapply, but just renew your visa and all of that. And so if you just make sure that that's in your plans, I don't see any reason why not. As we said, most of the people that we know who got visas for Mexico got temporary. And quite frankly, we thought we were going to have to settle for temporary as well. And our visa for Portugal is temporary. If I house hunt in Portugal for a month other than Airbnb Verbo, can you suggest another way? To find a place here for a month, you can look on like Idealista and things like that.
Right.
They do have some short-term rentals, but for the most part, you're going to find them on places like Airbnb and Verbo. I also look on booking.com because sometimes they have like hostel situations where you get a private room and things like that. They have vacation rentals that are not necessarily listed on Airbnb. So I would check booking.com as well. But yeah, if you want to stay in an apartment for a month and a month only, Airbnb and places like that are going to be your best bet. Though I've seen a few on Idealista.
Yeah.
Portugal's very laid back. I felt comfortable and safe. There were some cities I didn't care for, but loved the country overall. What cities didn't you care for?
Let me guess.
If state taxes still apply, would you be smart to establish an address in a state with low taxes before moving abroad? Yes, yes, and yes. And we also talk about that in our Move Abroad Toolkit. So, absolutely. Okay, we're getting close to the end. I heard they recently put into law in Portugal that landlords can't require people to pay 12 months in advance. It shouldn't be more than 2 or 3 months. Really? George, Rui, have you guys read or heard about that? If you guys are still in the chat,
I know Rui's still here.
let us know. And Greta, if you know where you found that, you want to see if you can. Is there a list of states in the U.S. that do not have state taxes? You probably could Google that, Stella. I'm not aware of a list. I know Florida doesn't have income tax. I would check Delaware because I know that's a good place to have your business. Texas, Nevada, usually red states. Shh. But yeah, you can Google that. You can Google it. All right. I'm looking, y'all. How much in savings do you need to put in Portuguese bank account for the D7 for a family of 6? Now, Holly, I'm going to say it depends. So if you are renting a place that's 2,000 euro per month, is going to be different than if you happen to find a place that's 1,100 euro per month, right? And so I would be more concerned about the rent and making sure you have 3 to 4 months of that, plus maybe 15%. Because, yeah, I'm trying to think. We only had like 4,000 or so in the Portuguese bank account, maybe 5 or 6, something like that. So So yeah, I mean, they're not going to, you got our cost of living. You know what the utilities basically are, right? Our utilities are about $150 a month, all in, including internet. So add that in, and something that is reasonable for groceries. Take our grocery amount and like triple it, and that should be fine. It's not a science. It really, really isn't. And if you're going to use Gail, she'll let you know. Will you please repeat the income necessary to qualify for D7? Yes, it's 1140 euro. Yes. So what that was in September, as far as dollar amount, and what that is today are two different things. So remember, the numbers that we're giving are euro, and then you're going to have to do the conversion based upon whenever that is. Did you know Gail's next appointment is not until the second week in May? Oh my gosh, is
Wow.
she booked out
She's
that
booked out
far?
that far. Oh my God.
I hope you got at least.
We've been sending her a lot of business.
We have been sending her a lot of people.
Yeah.
But when you're good, you're good.
Yeah.
And you're not charging, outrageous prices. You're charging a fair price. You know your stuff. Your staff is great. You guys don't wait. Do not wait. If you know you want to do this, call her now. I know when we were trying to get onto her calendar, it was this time last year. It was actually a little earlier. And in January, it was her calendar was closed. And I kept refreshing. And then around January 31st, it opened and I got something for February. But I didn't know. Yeah. I know she's really, really busy. I think you were the one who said, or no, not Holly, Lisa said that, let me hide this one. It's only 3 or 4 months of living expense. 3 to 4 months. I don't know that that's written in stone. So 3 to 4 months living expenses. So yeah, Lisa, it seems to me that you were the one who's saying she was working on 150 applications currently. So girlfriend is busy. My friend got her golden visa almost a year ago. After much research, my husband and I found that the D7 is a much better deal for us. I would say 99.9% of the people watching our Black Utopia, the D7 or some of these other ones are a better deal for you. Maybe the D3, maybe the highly qualified, because laying out that kind of money, y'all,
Yeah.
for an apartment. Talk to us, Patty. Did you have a bad experience? The biggest thing is make sure you have heat and air, right? Like these are concrete walls. They're concrete. And as we have said, and basically,
Where's Patty at?
she's on the other side of the river. I
Okay.
think you're still here, right? And so our experience has been outside of the United States. Concrete walls, solid concrete walls, usually not insulated the way they're insulated in the United States. We have never seen central air or central heat in any of the places that we've stayed in. They're usually room heater / air conditioners. And so, yeah, you want to make sure that the place has a good unit. Plus, if it has air that helps with the humidity in the summer, we have heard people who don't have it, and you open the windows and you get the cool breeze, but you also get the humidity and it messes with your electronics. Can you get your NFT and bank account? I think you meant NIF.
Yeah,
before you get your visa. You need to get
You
your
have to.
NIF and your bank account before you apply. Okay, he's still saying rents will go down. Okay. All right. I
hope you to that, Rui.
I hope you're right. I
Yeah.
want to be wrong on this one. I want to be wrong. And like I said, this is our first time living in Portugal. And what is true in Portugal is not necessarily what's true in the United States and vice versa. I know in the United States ain't nothing going down. It's never going down. Could you reach out to other expats who have an apartment they are leaving and maybe you can take over their lease? Yes, that could help break the breaking of leases. Yes, yes, yes. And people on Black in Portugal and stuff like that, you do read those posts. So the only thing is that the landlord needs to rewrite the lease with your name on it. Um, if it's for the same terms as for the same terms or whatever have you. But the lease definitely needs to be in your name and register to the financia office with your NEEF number and your husband's NEEF number or your partner, if not talking about the laws. So, yeah. 1.5 for a couple applying for the D7. It's 1.5 for the first person and then another 500 or something for the spouse.
It's not complete. You know you're out of juice.
Oh, darn it. Can I take this plug over here? I'm sorry, my thing ran out of battery. That was really fast. So let me get that answer for you in 1 second, Holly.
Okay.
I mean, it is out.
I gotta see what I'm running with.
Is that it?
I hope.
Okay, let's see. It feels like it. Yeah, because that's not charging anymore. Okay. It's going to come back up in a second. All right. I want to say, so it's 1.5 period, and then half of that for the spouse.
Right.
That's what I'm remembering.
I do remember it's half for the spouse.
Yeah, so it was like 1,700 or something at the time we applied, like 1,700 euro total. Right, so 1140. 1140, that's 1.5 times minimum wage, divided by 2, 570. Yeah, so it was about 1,700 euro total for the two of us. I had 1%, 1%. I think my battery I think I need a new battery. Because that's too fast. As a 40-year-old who is on a pension, ooh, good for you, dainty Keisha. I want to be you. Would I qualify even though I'm not retirement age? Yes. Yeah. Yes. So like we said before, unlike Mexico, it's not about the age, it's about your status. Mexico, like they don't understand 40-year-old retirees. And I suppose like if you're a former military, they might understand that, right? But other than that, like say you were a teacher and you started at 21, you done your 25 years or whatever, and now you're out, like, I don't think they get that. What do you mean retired? You're too young to be retired. You need to be working. So. What'd she say? Where, this one right here?
Nope. One more.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Definitely, Krishan. It was a good one. And we sent that out in an email too. So check your email. There's a link to it. Okay, so Rui says housing will go down because we're going to put lots of houses on the market. At least that's the government's idea. Right. And so there's a couple of things that have happened. First of all, cranes are everywhere.
Everywhere.
Cranes are everywhere. They were everywhere down there in Cascais. They're everywhere here, most definitely. The other thing is they did pass some kind of legislation regarding a lot of the abandoned buildings, and they're giving families, owners, a certain amount of time to claim them. Otherwise, I guess the government's going to take them over and do something with them, or something to that effect. So that also is going to put more inventory on. I would love to see that happen. I just know that in the United States, even when there's more inventory, they won't be lowering nothing. Nothing. We are excited to share that our family will visit Portugal this week. Yay! Wow. Our two sons will be touring University of Lisbon. Good for them. We can't wait to experience the beautiful country and all it has to offer. Well, you are coming at a good time. It's warming up and all of that. Will the meetup be in the day or night? Trying to firm up my apartment hunting schedule and want to make sure I come to support. Yay. So it looks like right now it's afternoon and evening. So you'll have the morning. It's not going to start any earlier than 2. The place that we thought we were going to get, they were on something. Y'all, so for those who are in the class, you guys saw a picture of the place, and we mentioned it last week. We thought we'd gotten a place in Belém right on the waterfront. They asked us for €8,000 just for the space. An empty space that is not being used because it's about to be renovated.
It's about to be renovated, yeah. So it's just sitting there.
It's just sitting there. Do you pay taxes on your Social Security in Portugal? Yes, you do. What if you have a military pension? Do they take 10? A pension is a pension, baby.
But I'm wondering about military. Huh.
A pension is a pension. The United States won't take taxes out of it. But a pension is, I mean, they want you here. Look, Portugal, Greece, Italy, and Spain had some economic problems. The reason why it is easier to get residency here in Portugal than it is, say, in the United States is because they need your tax dollars. They need it. And so you get a lot of good stuff for your tax dollars. You get, great transportation for only €40 per month, or free if you're of a certain age. Mm-hmm. You get a great healthcare system. So they actually do stuff with the tax money. They don't just leave you hanging like they do in the United States. But yeah, the whole reason for this whole visa scheme, be it the Golden Visa, the D7, the D3, the digital nomad visa, is to get you here spending money and allowing them to get your tax dollars. I'm just going to be frank. That's what it's about. So it's not as easy to get a visa in Switzerland.
Oh, no.
They don't need you.
They don't need you.
It's not as easy to get a visa in Germany, for instance, right? So Switzerland, I think you need to have something like $100,000 coming in, right? They don't need you.
Was it Switzerland or Denmark?
It could have been both, but I know Switzerland was on there.
Was real high.
It's crazy.
And anti-trade, the NEEF that's the most important number you can have. It is like your government ID number.
Yeah, but you don't have to closely guard it like you guard your Social Security number. So.
Yeah, because you're giving it out.
You're giving it out everywhere, out loud. Thank you, Flores Family Vlogs. New name. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're very welcome. I have heard that Portugal, that they do not tax U.S. military pensions. Okay.
I was wondering about the pensions for military. I mean, we can ask Heather that too. So.
Yeah. We will double check that. Can we write that down? I'm going to double check that, and we'll put the answer in the description below. I would love to be wrong. But I'd never heard that before. Did you put money in your account before you arrived? Yes. If you're a tax person in the U.S. or Portugal. We have a tax person in the U.S. and a tax person in Portugal. Because no matter what, okay, first of all, we have 2 rental properties in the U.S., but even if we didn't, you still have to file taxes. If you're a U.S. citizen, regardless of whether you owe, you have to file taxes. You just have to file. And a lot of times people don't file because they're like, well, I only made such and so, and they said I don't have to file. You do have to file if you make any more than like $6,000 or $7,000. That's what it used to be. I don't know what it is today. Something like that per year. But a lot of times, y'all, if you have made just a little bit of money, you still get that $12,000 write-off. So file. They might owe you money. So yeah, you always have to file. So we keep our U.S. tax person, and then I just found a tax person in Portugal. So I'm really happy about that. She's great. She speaks English. Her husband is Scottish, so she knows enough English that we can communicate effectively. Okay. These Bolts and these Ubers, I'm telling you. Rick and Halisi, are you a train ride to the airport? No, 2 train
Two
rides.
trains.
We have to take the green line to the red line.
And it's right there at the airport. You get right
It's
off
so
into the
convenient.
airport.
You really don't have like to go out into the elements. I mean, you're in the elements for like literally like what, 3 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay, 10 seconds. Unless you have a lot of crap, then 5 minutes.
Yeah,
But it's
you're
right there, after baggage claim. You go down, take the red line, and then we take the red line to the green line, and boom, boom, we're here. So it's great. All right. I think we've done it. I'm not seeing any more. Oh, here's another question. Um, Most times it's quiet outside of our apartment.
Yeah.
However, there's been 2 parades that have come by since we've been living
Oh, they'll
here.
have a parade and it'd be packed in the street and you hear
Where
them
are
all.
these people?
But
And
I mean, it's a festive thing, so
we
it's
don't mind it. We don't mind it. And even, we live across the street from a park. And so there's always kids playing in the park. Some people that may bother, and there's dogs barking in the park. Do you ever really hear it?
I hear the dog in the back more than I hear any dogs over at the park. Normally, it's a dog that two dogs are kind of going at each other,
Right.
but
I mean, when I say do you hear it, like, do you hear it that it bothers you, right? And
no,
so
no.
I love hearing the kids, doing their happy scream when they're on the swings and all of that. And I love it. But loud, like partying, touristy loud, oh no,
No.
no, 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 not at all. When in an apartment, can you hear a city outside? So
If you open the windows, but
yeah,
not city. It depends on what you mean by city.
we could hear if there was a siren, we could hear
Oh
that,
yeah. I
but
mean,
we don't
yeah.
hear the cars. I don't hear the cars. Do you hear the cars? I don't hear the cars.
And there's a bus stop right out here.
Yeah,
If the windows are open, yeah, you probably could hear them.
but when they're closed, no. In our apartment, the windows have all been replaced with double paned windows. So
Oh well, thank you.
yeah, y'all should have seen him last night. We had game night at our place. These people were talking so much trash.
You know how we get.
If you all follow Heather, Black in Portugal, she was here and she videotaped some of it. She might have it on her IG. These people were talking so much yakety smackety, so much trash talk. Where else will we find large populations of expats besides Lisbon? Now, there are some folks on here who say, why do you want large populations of expats? But the Algarve, more so than Porto. If you're talking about Black expats, Porto before the Algarve. What do you think?
No, not really.
Yeah, I mean,
I almost say Coimbra
really?
for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah.
Americans?
Uh-huh.
Huh. We do know some people who moved there, but I don't, I don't know that there's a lot. Helen, if you're talking about Black folks, I would get onto Black in Portugal and ask the question. If you're not interested in living in the capital of Portugal, and Lisbon is not everyone's cup of tea. Like I said, I love it. I love the crowds. I just love it. But what is true today might not be true 5 years from now. So who knows what we'll be living 5 years from now? We'll be in Portugal if I have my way, but whether we'll be living in the city center of Lisbon, I don't know. I like, I like having the transportation is so accessible and all of that. But yeah, there are pockets in most of the cities. I know there's pockets in the Silver Coast, definitely pockets in Coimbra, in Porto, in the Algarve, and maybe even in Stubal in that area down there. But the largest is still going to be Lisbon.
I'd like to see more of Stubal. I mean, we went on that. It was a weekend, and it was quiet.
It was quiet.
It was very quiet.
Do you have a good attorney in Mexico? I have a special situation, should be an advantage, but I need help. Spoke to an American practicing in Mexico, and that did not help. So we didn't use an attorney. We used an immigration specialist, Patty. We used Sonia Diaz. So if you all want to just Google Sonia Diaz from San Miguel de Allende, that's how I found her. And under the Mexican residency, Portuguese residency, getting residency in two countries at the same time, their information is in the description of that video. But yeah, we didn't use an attorney. So
I
would
hit up the
reach,
Facebook groups and stuff like that in Mexico.
and I would call Sonia just to see.
Yeah, she might have an idea.
She might ask her if they can handle whatever your situation is. And if not, if she can refer you to somebody, right? A lot of folks have used Sonia in the Vicarious crew. I've become discouraged due to hills because of my bad hip. Just want to be sure there are nearby areas for those with slight mobility issues. So Cascais is pretty flat.
Yeah, there's flat areas.
Yeah. And I understand with the hills. You got to learn the bus system. So I'm going to be walking up these hills.
I'll put it this way. Okay. So Rossini's not walking up the hills. He will tell you, I'm not walking the hills. He'll catch the buses, is learning the buses, because he'll look at me like, you still walking the hills? And I'm saying, yeah, because I got to keep up. But everybody doesn't do the hills, and that's understandable.
The bus literally stops 100 yards?
Yeah, right.
100 yards from our front door.
From our front door.
And we've seen the bus at the bottom of the hill, so we know it comes up.
It's just knowing where to catch them. And,
Exactly. But the bus stops have a map, and then there's a code on there where you can text it, and it'll tell you when the next one is coming.
Yeah.
Each of the bus stops shows what bus number comes there. So learn the bus system, and you can avoid the hills.
And you don't have to worry about it.
And you can walk where it's flat and then catch the bus up the hill if you live on the top of a hill or what have you.
Or depending on where you want to live. I mean, where Alex and them are, it's pretty flat.
Yeah, Parque das Nações.
Yeah.
I think is how you pronounce it.
So there are flat areas here.
It's flat down there.
Yeah, there are flat areas where you can live. You don't have to live up in Penha de França at the top of the hill.
Yeah, well, once you get up here, it's flat. Saldana, once you get up there, it's flat.
Once you get up, it's flat.
So, we don't have to really walk hills to get to the two major grocery stores that we go to. No. Pingo Doce, there's a little bit of an incline, and I mean just a little bit of an incline. But other than that, there's no hill. So
what scares me about Pingo Doce is the size of the sidewalk.
The sidewalk is narrow. Did you obtain your Mexican visa DIY, or did you use a service? So we did the visa part DIY, and then the green card, once we got to Mexico, we hired Sonia Diaz. But on the American side, we DIY'd it. And really, besides watching, whose video did I watch? Sheeta's on the Loose. Her video on getting residency. Also, each consulate is a little bit different, just like with Portugal. And so the list that she sent us was pretty all-inclusive. I included some other things that Rashida said you needed that the list didn't have on it. And I actually did not need those things for the Denver consulate. So we were good to go with what was on that list. And it was pretty straightforward. Are there any communities that are pleasantly walkable? I think they're all pleasantly walkable, upstairs and hills and stuff. So Stella, I guess you mean flat. And so we just mentioned some of those places that are flat. And if George or Rui are in the chat, they can perhaps mention some others. Stubal was pretty flat when we went down there. We have not been to the Algarve. Coimbra, in my opinion, is not.
What?
I mean, the valley part of Coimbra
Well,
is
yeah,
flat,
yeah,
but
yeah.
where that
The
university
university
is,
is nothing but hills.
and I mean steep, steep. Don't know new law. Michigan last week passed new tax for retired. Okay. Yeah, no idea about that. Are you now considered a Portugal tax resident for the entire 23, even though you have not had your self appointment?
We haven't joined the non-habitual residency.
We've gotten some mixed words on that. So we are still talking to our tax person about that. So technically, Rhonda, no. Relocate to Portugal are still our fiscal agent when it comes to that. And so for right now, we're not. We're triple checking to make sure they know that, if we would have changed the address in the Financia office for the NAIF, if we would have changed it to our address, then yes, we would have had to file NHR for 2023. So March 31st, whatever, yeah, would have been the last day that we could file for NHR. And then if we didn't do it then you're just SOL for the rest of the time that you are a resident of Portugal. But okay, it is my understanding that it will be for 2024 because Gail's company is still our fiscal representative. Okay, so Rick's going to take a break and I'm going to keep answering questions. George, yes, that is true. They can't ask for all that money in advance. Thank you, George. Thank you. So they're not supposed to be able to ask you for a year in advance. No, where the 12 months come, not sure where the 12 months come from. That's not true. Okay. Okay. And then, okay. So I'm learning. Wait, dominata. What does that mean? This says we talk and that's measurable is the same, but something is different. I'm learning, y'all. We've been having our Portuguese lessons and I am learning. All right. If you have mobility issues, is Portugal a good choice for retirement? There is no place that has ADD specifications like the United States that we have been to. This is a very, very old city. All of the sidewalks in our neighborhood have ramps. However, to get onto the train, the metro, there's elevators. So so are you talking about wheelchair or are you just talking about cane, right? Like, so there's elevators for the metros, but to get onto the metro, it would be hard for a person without help and a wheelchair to get onto that metro chain. And I would say the same thing for the urban heavy rail trains as well. Now, is it like that down in the Algarve? Maybe not. But then they don't have the same kind of transportation system that we have here either. So yeah, I would say it depends on what kind of mobility issues you have. We have friends that have like bad knees and this and that and the other, and they're, getting along just fine. Uber and Bolt, which is their other competition to Uber, are reasonably priced. We got back from Saldana to here for €3.80. So it's reasonably priced. As there's sidewalks everywhere, but the cobblestones can get slippery. So if there's flat sidewalks, you're pretty good. Like if you lived in our neighborhood to get to the Pingo Doce or the Auchan, there are sidewalks. It's relatively flat. We have seen wheelchairs. We've seen older people with walkers. There's lots of folks with crutches and canes. But there are not the same Americans with Disability Act, ADA, regulations as there are in the United States and Portugal.
Right.
How do you establish residency if you don't live there? Does mail service qualify? I don't think so, and I think that may differ from state to state. BP, I would Google that, and for whichever state You probably need somebody's physical address or something. I don't know. I
Like
don't.
some in the States?
Yeah, to
Okay.
establish residency so that they don't
A
have to pay
different
crazy
state, gotcha.
taxes. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know some people have actually moved there for like 3 months to the different state before applying and and all of that to get their residency for whatever country they're moving to. Um, so yeah, as yours says, it depends on where you live. Yeah, but short of actually moving, I'm not sure because we didn't do that. You can now even schedule the appointment until tomorrow. You cannot even schedule the appointment until tomorrow. Are you still talking about
Yeah.
Gail, Lisa? Okay, we've been on for 2 hours, y'all. I said we were going to not keep this because we're not going to go too long here. So I'm going to find these other questions and we are going to wrap this up. It's early for
It
us.
truly is.
We haven't the time has not changed here.
We don't change it till the 26th.
Yeah. And so yeah, Greta, 13,680 euros per year is very doable. That's what you need as a single person to qualify for the D7. The average Social Security check is 1,500, even if you collect it early at 62 years old. So you would have to live a little leanly if that's all you had coming in, but it is doable. Or you just move a little bit outside of the city and get
Mm-hmm.
better rent. Once applying for and getting the D7, hypothetically, how soon do you have to move to Portugal? Within 4 months. I'm sure this has been asked and answered. No, because we were talking. Well, no, Danette, actually, it hadn't been answered, so you're good. So yeah, you get 4 months on the visa. Mexico, you get 6 months, right? Portugal, you get 4 months. So you have 4 months from the yes to get your butt up in this country. And we didn't wait because I wasn't about paying that rent. Why are you laughing? You laughing at me, sweetheart?
I'm laughing at you. I ain't. She gonna make them rewrite the laws.
Look, I'm just not about giving money away. It's I understand. Look, too many people have taken advantage of the situation. This is what happens. People take advantage of the situation. Oh, let's just apply everywhere, right? And then they make the consulates go through all of this work,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
true.
they don't stay here. You have to remember, like the Portuguese consulates are not huge like Mexico, right? Mexico in America, there's cajillion consulates, right? Because we're right there, but not so for Portugal. And so you have one person usually per office that is dealing with all of these applications.
And they don't pay them enough money.
They do not pay them, especially not in San Francisco.
Yeah.
No, the NEEF does not expire to the best of my knowledge. I didn't see an expiration date on that. Did you?
No. Rui, George.
So $12,000 in write-offs right off the bat in America. It's $12,000 per person, right? Unless the tax laws have changed in the last 6 months. That's what it is.
No.
But that's America. Yes! This is apartment living. Yes, indeed, we have to deal with noise.
We haven't lived in
neighbors
an apartment in
a long time.
So if there's any noise made from upstairs, it was us making the noise. And we didn't hear it because we was upstairs.
Exactly.
The dog might have heard it and said, "Damn, what are you doing?"
So yeah, we can hear the people upstairs, especially when they vacuum and stuff like that. Somebody was playing some movie really loud the other night. Is it just so bad that it's disturbing? Once in a while, like the people upstairs tend to have parties on weird nights, like during the week and stuff.
But they're
And that,
usually done by a certain time
yeah, they're
too.
usually done by, we don't go to bed, we tend not to go to bed till about midnight or so.
Yeah,
And
and they're
so
usually
they're usually
done.
done by then. Um, but by and large, it's not so much noise that it's crazy. Now, across the way, they think they have a karaoke store over there or something because they open the window that faces the courtyard, and it's not this building; it's the building across the way, and they're playing all kind of music from from Beyonce to something in Portuguese to some African music, and I think it is an African
I
family.
haven't heard.
Oh, I just heard them the other day.
Oh,
And they're
I was wondering
singing
if they were
these
still
lyrics
there.
to the top of their lungs, but it's usually before 8 p.m. And thankfully, never on a Sunday when we're doing the show. I've never heard them out there doing it
No,
while we're
never.
talking. Again, Halisi's talking the truth. Thank you. We need that money. We are better now, much better, thanks to the resilience of the Portuguese, yes, and the people like you who come and help. It's good for everybody. Oh, see, I'm going to get teary. You know, look, you guys, I understand some people's hesitation with all of this. And, it is another way to live.
It's a big move, but
It's a big, huge move. But I have to say, from the fruitateria guy, who probably is about 75 years old, to young people, I have been met with kindness. There's been some rude people, but they are so few and far between.
mhm.
Right? Rick allows people to get on their nerves because that everyone's on the sidewalks and people go, "Oh, where are we going?" And they'll just stop. And he's like, "Why are we just stop in the middle of the sidewalk?" Rah, rah, rah. Like old grumpy man.
I don't say it to
Yeah,
them, but
yeah. He's like, he doesn't smoke, but that's what it reminds me of. Get off the sidewalk. Do you guys have farmers market in your neighborhood? Yes, we do. And I think every neighborhood has their own farmers market. So we do. It's a Arroyos, and we've only a few times caught it during the hours because it's usually early. We're still asleep until like 1 p.m.,
well, and then the
2
other
p.m.
place too, that inside the it's like inside, and you have all the fruit. We bought
Yeah,
some.
that's what she's talking about.
Was
Indoor
that
farmers
in
markets.
Oliosh?
Yeah. The yellow building.
No,
Oh, which
like
one?
when we're walking towards, I think Sedonia or something like that, and we went in at one time.
Oh, yeah. Every
Yeah,
neighborhood that we've seen has one.
yeah. I'm terrible with the neighborhood names, so
So yeah, it's really cool. It's a different way of life, you guys. And I don't know if we still are in the honeymoon period. Thank you, thank you, Jazzy old chick. We so appreciate it. Pinky, I'll get to your question in a minute. As you guys know, all super stickers, super chat, super thanks money goes to our scholarship fund. We do have one more scholarship available for Beyond the Bling Money Mindset Makeover for Financial Independence self-paced on-demand course. Comes with a private community where Rick and I are in there every day, every other day, answering your questions. So you're not in this thing alone. If you need a scholarship,
wow.
if you need a scholarship, you have to be the 15th person on our Instagram to say, I want the scholarship. So you need to be following us on Instagram and you need to be the 15th person. It is 9:38 p.m. my time. So I'm going to go into IG after this and then we will look. Yeah, and you need the scholarship. Like if you can afford to take it, please save it for someone who cannot. And so we would give another shout out. How do I make this come up? Let's see, I guess I got to go down. Oh my gosh, I'm this far behind. I got to catch up. I got to catch up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's 2 super stickers this day, and thank you. The
Thank you
community
so
thanks
much.
you,
Yeah, definitely.
and we have already given away one scholarship, and she is in there doing the damn thing, y'all. Creating her own Black Utopia. So we appreciate that. Let me see where we were, and then I will remind me to get to that one. I'll remember where we were.
You're the pinky.
Let's see. 924, no audio. Wait, no audio. You guys can hear us, right? I hope so. Coming for the meetup in April. Low temp is 53. Should I expect to be chilly, windy? 53. I'm from LA. So, it was 60 something today. It was supposed to be 66 degrees when we were out there. I was hot and I get cold easily. It felt like 72.
It felt like 70.
I think it will be chilly in the evening. I think if it's windy, it will be chilly in the shade, but not in the sun. So if you're walking and you're in the sun, you're going to be warm. We do the layers thing. That's what we do. So, and I get cold, then I'm hot, and then I'm cold, and then I'm hot. So that's the Algarve, is the southernmost part of Portugal. And that's where the pretty coves and all of that are. Suggestions for a future episode, dating and activities. We are looking for singles. So I've only gotten one person to respond. There are a lot of active singles here. And we had 2 at our house last night. Game night sounds like fun. Which games did you play? This is really off topic.
Pinky. We had to get back to her.
Yes, thank you. What did we play?
We played this. Alex brought this puzzle game.
So Alex and Jerry, we've interviewed them twice.
Yeah, and he brought this puzzle game that you weren't against the clock, but you were against the other team, and you had
we had to put together this puzzle, and then there's one big piece, and it was double-sided. So we would grab that big piece. You can only grab the big piece once you had everything else in place. We won. They lost.
Well, we lost, but Penny did
Winners,
have all the. She didn't.
Losers.
But then we played Uno.
The second hand went on for about an hour and a half. They had all these ghetto rules in place, y'all. They had
I won.
Yes, he did. He did win.
But yeah, we'll be playing spades and whatever. Everybody brought games and stuff, so we can go off. And like we said, we didn't get out of here till after 3 a.m.
We bought Pictionary from here. It is in Portuguese, so we're gonna play that.
Yeah, might as well learn language while you're playing something.
Vader found Portugal. We are doomed. I'm not sure I understand that. Were you guys talking about something? Coming for the meet up in April. Okay, we went over that. I'm glad you are coming. We will have tickets on sale for that shortly. I think we are nailing down our place because the 8,000, y'all, we ain't paying that.
So Facebook had no audio?
We can't. So Facebook had no audio?
Oh, I don't know. But
that's weird. So you guys, I'm sure you guys can hear us. Otherwise, you would have been saying something. Algarve is very flat in some places. Very good. Okay, you guys. I'm going to scooch through this. Percentage tax for D7 visa holders from U.S. to Portugal. If you are on the NHR, it's 10% for pension, 20% for some income sources. So I put it that way because it's kind of like the highly qualified thing, right? They have some professions that qualify for the NHR, for the non-habitual residence tax break for 10 years. It is very, very broad, very broad. So I would Google it, look at the list that's on CEF, and chances are, whatever your side hustle is or whatever have you, it's going to be on the list. But it's 20%. Factor that in. Now, on the other hand, you won't be paying $700 and $800 a month for healthcare. How much was your CAT scan?
Out of my pocket? What did I say? Was it
32 euro? 32 euro? Yeah. And the whole thing was like 124. Our insurance covered the other part.
Yeah.
So CAT scan is like somewhere around 2,500 in the US. Okay. That's where some of your tax
Well,
money is going to.
Alexander could probably tell you.
So new here and just wanted to say hi. Hi. Thanks for all the great info. You're very welcome. Bought my ticket for Portugal for the meetup. Yay! So excited to meet both of you in June. Looking forward to it. It's me, Yvette. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yep, Parque das Nações is also flat. Absolutely. New here. Welcome. Oh, you're going to be at the April meetup too. So if you guys, there is in the description below, if you need to get on the mailing list to get updated when the tickets go on sale for April and for June, because we're putting both of them together at the same time. These people take forever to get back to you. Then that information is below. Get on the list. Our goal is this week we will start selling tickets, and there will be a limit on how many people. I am not on social media. How can I meet up or make contact with folks if I come this May? You can ask us and come to a Black in Portugal event, but you really do need to be on social media. You need to be on social media because just put a picture of your face and register, and then you can get into Black in Portugal and any other expat groups for whatever other city that you might want to move to. After that, there are break-off WhatsApp groups. And so once you're in a WhatsApp group, then you can kind of give the social media and not pay attention to that piece. But I mean, you really can't not be on social media in 2023 and expect to easily meet up with people. It's very, very difficult because people ain't going to be giving out their phone numbers and stuff like that. Right. And so that doesn't mean you have to put, everything that you've eaten and share your life on social media, but having a presence on social media so that you can get into some of these groups is really important. And just makes life easier. Everyone that we have met that is a friend, except for one, we have met through being in Black in Portugal and going to the meetups and meeting people and connecting with people. Then from that, there's like the, seasoned and melanated and the 50 plus group and all of those WhatsApp groups that you get invited to stuff. So by write-off, do you mean the standard deduction? Yes, I do, Grace. Thank you. And I'm probably not using the correct terms. Love the channel. Are you guys required to file a foreign bank financial? I think you have to have more than 10,000 in the bank here. I thought that was my understanding, or more than $9,999 in a foreign bank to have to file that. Bought an apartment in France last year and we might have to. Oh. Okay. Okay. Thank you again for the super thanks. We appreciate it. I could see that. And we might have to when we buy our building. We're buying a building. Did you have an in-person appointment with the Portuguese consulate prior to obtaining a visa? Yes and no. Yes, we had an in-person appointment. Was it with the consulate? No. It was with VFS, which is an intermediary, like administrative company that works with a lot of different countries to do the administration portion of this whole visa process.
And they forward your paperwork and stuff
to the consulate.
Once it passes them, making sure you have everything that you need, then they forward it to the consulate.
Yeah, they're not going to forward incomplete packages. So that's what that's what they do. And I was all dressed up, y'all. I didn't know. Daniel Flores, thank you. Thank you,
nephew. That's my nephew.
The beard is looking good, Uncle Rick.
That's my nephew.
Thank you for contributing to our scholarship fund. We really appreciate it. Oh, it's your phone. Okay, you scared us a little bit there, Opal. Action VJ. Yeah, you that far behind. Okay, you guys. All right.
Come see your uncle, Daniel.
Yes, we have a guest bedroom. planning to come to June for our Rich Journey? Are you still planning a meetup in June? Yes, June 20th for our meetup, and we will be at our Rich Journeys meetups. They're having 4. So we will be at all of those. I think we paid for all of them, including Coimbra, or maybe not, because we did the
We
Coimbra
did
one
Coimbra
last time, and I think that
we
was
didn't do
extra.
Porto.
So we're going to do Porto and then the 2 that are in the Lisbon area. And the Coimbra one is nice. The venue that they have it at is very nice, very cool, but we did it and it was extra. So I don't think we paid for that. Are you doing a fall meetup or is that wishful thinking on my part? We have to see, Jeanette. I mean, can we do an informal meetup with you and some other people? Absolutely. Are we going to do a big plan the thing meetup? This is a lot of work, y'all. So I think we need to find a venue who's willing to work with us. And once we find that and make that relationship to make it easier, then we will see. What we are planning for is a Move to Portugal summit, a virtual summit, online summit, where we'll bring in all of these experts like a Gail, if not Gail herself. The tax person, our Portuguese tax person, already said that she's willing to come into our Fire Over 50 Facebook group and answer your guys' questions. So if you were in our Facebook group, I am scheduling her. She was concerned about her English. Her English is fine. And so she's going to come in there. And then, if you guys like her, then we'll bring her for the summit as well. So real estate people, house finder people, everything that you need to move to Portugal. We are going to have all of those people for our virtual summit. So stay tuned for that.
Serenity people.
Serenity. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. I'm going to catch up here. Marguerite. When is our Rich Journey? In June? It is the 22nd through, I think, the 25th. So it starts that Thursday. Ours is the 20th. So whatever that Thursday is, 2 days from there, it's that date. So the 22nd, I believe. And then it's going to be Thursday, Friday, and then Coimbra is usually Saturday, and then Porto is usually the Monday. So they skip Sunday because travel. So you're welcome, Christina and Aman. Hey, we caught up. We did it. All right, y'all. You know the routine. How can you support our channel? We now have Cash App. It is down in the description below. But the biggest thing is we want you to be able to create your own utopia. That we're not on here in beautiful Lisbon, exotic Lisbon, saying, hey, look at us, look at what we can do. No,
we want all y'all to share this.
We really do. And maybe it's not Portugal, maybe it's Mexico, maybe it's Senegal, maybe it is, Bali. I don't know, wherever your utopia is, Argentina. I hope not. They got a bad reputation down there being racist.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, they do. But whatever, hey, you might find a different experience there, right? So wherever your utopia is, we want you to have that. We want you to get financially free from the United States. Sure, make the money there and then leave because they don't deserve you. They don't deserve you. You want to have peace. You want to have freedom. Every dollar that you earn should have a job. Those are your freedom units, right? Right? Every dollar should have a job, and part of that job should be investing in future you.
Yes, definitely.
So all of the information that we have learned going from negative 22,000 in net worth, being heavily in debt, not living paycheck to paycheck. We've never had to live paycheck to paycheck. No. We've always had at least $10,000 in savings. But you guys, that's $10,000 in saving is better than the average American. It keeps you from having to charge, getting your car fixed. But can't nobody retire on $10,000 in a savings account, right? And so going from that to having 2 to 3 years cash saved, plus investment accounts, right? Plus 2 rental properties It's not rocket science, and neither one of us made over $100,000 a year. Neither one of us ever made that.
Right.
We had the titles, but not the money.
Not the money.
Right? And so if we can do it after 53 years old, whoever is watching, you certainly can do it. For young people like Holly and her family, y'all, so happy that you got the clue earlier than we did.
Yes.
But you can do this thing. Our Beyond the Bling Money Mindset Makeover for Financial Independence is available. It's very affordable. If you want the scholarship, it was the 15th person who is following us on IG to say, I need the scholarship. So we'll go and we will look after this.
George Rui, thank you so much.
Thank you. If you have other questions, we do take one-on-one calls. You can book a call with us. That information is below. We will see you on Thursday where we will have Rossini, who helped us find this apartment, and he's going to come on just to answer your questions. So we know on Thursdays, we usually don't do a lot of back and forth, but it's going to be all back and forth for 30 minutes. If you want to make sure that your questions are answered, email us at hello@ourblackutopia.com and put question for housing in the subject line, something like that. And we will make sure we answer those questions first.
Yes.
And other than that, we will see you on Thursday. Bye, y'all. Love you.